welcome to your very last dose of the social show for the week. My name is Via Kilwana and I'm here with you from 9:30 to 10 a.m. And if this is your first time listening to the show, it would be important to note that we highlight the very best initiatives, forums, projects in SA and abroad, and we are working to change our current living conditions, and of course, without leaving out the corporates that are meant to facilitate them. We talk all things CSI, CSR, and shared value. If you'd like to get in touch with me or have an opinion to share about the show or the topic at hand, please do so at Brand Live Radio or Social One TV, or you can just send me an email at press@social-tv, and I will definitely have you in mind. Or you can just call in at 011-086. That's 011-083. Wow, it's a Friday. 011-083-8606. Now, without missing a beat, we're going to go straight into our headlines. The African Commission has drafted a new protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights that emphasizes the importance of the right of people with disabilities to have an equal recognition before the law. It also provides for a range of rights, including the right to education, personal liberty, political participation, and the right to live in the community. The protocol includes those with mental illnesses that have little protection under both domestic and regional African law. Even the African Charter, the continent's flagship human rights instrument, doesn't make specific provisions for them. The implications of this decision have been wide-ranging, particularly in Africa, where cultural and traditional practices towards people with mental disabilities are rife with human rights abuses. In other news, the European Union unveiled plans this past Tuesday for all plastic packaging in Europe to be recyclable by 2030 and phased out in a single-phase plastic like coffee cups to fight pollution. The strategy announced by the European Commission, the EU executive, follows China's decision to ban imports of foreign products to be recycled, including huge quantities from Europe. The Commission said its proposals also aim to create business opportunities by transforming the way plastic products are designed, produced, and recycled in Europe. The Commission said Europeans generate about 25 million tons of plastic waste annually, but less than 30% is collected for recycling. And lastly, in our news, Britain has appointed Minister of Loneliness this past Wednesday to tackle what the Prime Minister Theresa May describes as the sad reality of modern life affecting millions of people. Tracy Crouch, a junior Minister of Sport and Civil Society, will take on the role as part of a broader strategy to combat loneliness in Britain. More than 9 million people say that they are always or often lonely out of the population of about 65.6 million, according to the British Red Cross organisation. The charity describes loneliness and isolation as an epidemic affecting people across all ages at various moments in their lives, such as retirement, bereavement, and separation. Britain's Loneliness Initiative will see a strategy published this year with input from national, local government, public services, and the voluntary sector and businesses. And that concludes our news for the day.
What is individual social responsibility? Social responsibility is about me, you, and us. It is about our action, how we affect people, the community, and the environment around us. What if we all accepted responsibility for the challenges that our communities face? What if we challenged ourselves to create positive impact with every action we take? Just like businesses focus on corporate social responsibility, JCI members are challenged to focus on individual social responsibility. We all have rights as citizens, but we also have responsibilities. The JCI Active Citizen Framework is a social plan that serves as a roadmap to sustainable development. That is what social responsibility is about. It is about me, you, and all of us taking responsibility for the future of our world, starting from our local community.
Improving lives for farmers around the world depends not just on getting a better price for the harvest, it also depends on learning sustainable techniques for agriculture which preserve the land for future generations. Modern agriculture has a huge impact on the environment. All those agrochemicals, all those petroleum-based inputs into the food system, they take a huge toll on the planet and on the land. Not to mention the health risks of handling these toxic herbicides and pesticides that are implicit in that high-tech version of agriculture. Fair trade is trying to move farmers to a more sustainable model of agriculture. We have very rigorous standards around the use of agrochemicals. The most toxic chemicals are simply not allowed in the fair trade world, and we audit against that every year.
In 2016, the United Nations defined 17 goals for a sustainable development towards the protection of our planet's resources and a peaceful and prosperous humanity. They build the frame for a global transformation by 2030. But this time, something is different. It was a joint approach with politics, business, academia, and NGOs working together. And BASF was apart from the beginning. We want to be a driving force in reaching the SDGs because we see chemistry as an enabler for a sustainable future. The SDGs guide us in our decision-making as we strive for solutions that have a positive impact on reaching these global goals. For example, we produce more solutions which tackle water scarcity, like water filtration and desalination. Or we support people in countries with malnutrition, for example, with food fortification developments. And we are committed to save our valuable resources globally, for example, through better recycling processes and more biodegradable substances. We contribute to the SDGs and thus add value for BASF, the environment, and society. For us, sustainability makes good business sense and is good for the planet. So let's come together and partner to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. BASF, we create chemistry.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
You're back on the social show, and if you missed the first part of the show, you missed quite a lot of information, the news. But don't fret, don't worry, because we'll be back again fresh and early on Monday. Recycling. Glass is one of the many ways in which you can reduce pollution and waste. And every day we throw away tons of rubbish and glass and glass is quite a significant part of it. And instead of letting landfills pile up with glass objects that are a threat to safety in the environment, we can actually use it again. And today I'm joined by a man who knows everything about glass, the CEO of the Glass Recycling Company. I must say, it has been mission impossible getting me here. And I just want to play this song for you. We have run up and down trying to get a hold of you. No, but we've got Shabir Jetnam. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Let's get straight into it. Give us a brief history of the Glass Recycling Company.
Okay, the Glass Recycling Company commenced operating in 2006. Our primary focus was to increase glass recycling in South Africa. At that stage, glass recycling was at a mere 18%, which was very low, and there was no industry body representing the glass manufacturers and the companies or the brand owners who package their product into glass. So the company was established with wanting to keep glass alive. And glass, why we want to keep it alive? Because glass is infinitely recyclable. So our core functions we started in 2006 was to create and increase awareness amongst all South Africans to recycle their glass. And that was pretty simple because lots of people did not recycle. But we have seen a significant growth in recycling. And there are two kinds of people who recycle. Those who collect glass to earn a source of income, who then sell it to buyback centers, which then goes back to the glass manufacturers to make new glass packaging. And the others are us, the upper income groups, who need to recycle at glass banks. So how have we achieved this? What we have done is we've supported many buyback centers or scrap dealers, as you call them, who buy in glass with the relevant infrastructure and the knowledge and training on how to run a glass recycling business. There we've supported over 3,000 entrepreneurs.
Wow.
The majority of them are historically disadvantaged South Africans, because that's one of our key objectives of the business.
Definitely.
In addition to that, we put out glass banks. We now have more than 4,000 glass banks placed nationally to get people to recycle their glass. But I must admit, sadly so, the upper income groups haven't really come to the party as yet. So we need to change that significantly, and I'm sure we can talk about how we can change that later.
Glass banks. Can you just elaborate a little bit about what that is?
Glass bank, it's a green rectangle which is quite big. It can store about 3,000 bottles. So it's a lot. So it's for the public to drop off their glass. And to find one's very simple. You can go onto our website www.tgrc.co.za, and you can say what suburb you are, or what province you are, what city, what suburb, and it will tell you the glass banks in your area. So it's very simple. But people are also apathetic, and there's an amount of why should I do it? But it's so important to do it because the benefits are immense.
Definitely. The green economy has been growing quite significantly in South Africa, actually. So can you just give us an idea of the impact that the company has had in the usage of maybe in supporting the green economy in SA, in essence?
Yeah, it's supporting not only the green economy, but supporting the economy
In
as a
general.
whole. In terms of the green, let's look at the economic benefits.
Okay.
As a result of our efforts by supporting and assisting the buyback centres, it has created income generation opportunities for approximately 50,000 collectors. These glass collectors earn a source of income, and for most of them it's the only source of income because there's high unemployment in our country, so that has really been successful. And in terms of the green economy, we don't want glass to go into landfill. We rather use waste glass to be recycled into new glass packaging because it reduces your carbon dioxide emissions. You need to run your furnaces where you make new glass at lower temperatures,
Yes.
so that decreases CO2 emissions, which has a significant impact on global warming as well. And we can see from the heat wave we're currently having in
We need it.
Gauteng, the drought that we're having in Cape Town. So there's huge problems that we have, and every South African needs to do something. And all I say is, it may not seem a lot, but you need to do it one bottle at a time.
Definitely. What are the constraints that you've witnessed so far? Are people welcoming to this idea of reusing glass?
Recycling glass.
Recycling glass,
Yes, no, people are welcoming, especially from the lower income groups where they earn a source of income. But as mentioned earlier, it's the upper income groups which still have high levels of apathy. That has been improving because we have significant marketing campaigns and strategies in place. But what will really solve the problem is if there's mandatory separation at source.
Yes.
Now, by that I mean is where people leave their recyclables in a separate bag, and the municipality will then collect it. But it has to be mandatory because there's many separation at source projects, but the people don't participate because it's not enforced. But if you look at Europe, or you look at other countries, they have higher recycling rates because it's enforced.
Definitely.
Or it's mandated and legislated.
So policy would go a long way.
Oh, certainly it would do so.
Definitely. So people are obviously trying to, I've heard a lot of friends of mine say, my resolution is to recycle more or to try and make sure that I'm a bit more eco-friendly in my home. What kind of tips and tricks could you give people who have sort of glass in their house in any form? What can they do in just in their individual spaces to help sort of carry on your mantra?
Exactly. It's so simple, Vivi. I mean, what one needs is a separate receptacle where you keep your glass bottles and jars. And then when you go to your nearest shopping mall or where your nearest glass bank is, you drop it off at your glass bank. Or alternatively, what lots of glass collectors in the suburbs do as well is collect recyclables. So put all your recyclables, not only glass, into a separate bag if your municipality is not doing it, and then people will collect it. But the thing is just to inculcate the mindset change and the habit of keeping it separately and not putting it into your rubbish bin.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
It's very simple. I see that you made quite a distinction between reusing and recycling.
Yes.
There's a big difference. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, there's a huge difference. There's two kinds of glass packaging you have in South Africa. You have, especially on the bottle side, not the jars, you have non-returnable bottles, which is used once,
Yes.
and then people throw it away when they should be recycling it, either at a glass bank or letting a collector pick it up, or collectors who collect it and then sell it on.
Okay.
The other one is the returnable bottle. In South Africa, to take beer as an example, 80% of beer is packaged in returnable bottles, and that has a deposit. It's beer bottles, certain wine and certain spirit bottles as well, and also some of your soft drink bottles. people get the deposit back. It's a system that has been going on for many years in South Africa, very efficient, very successful. And if you buy a returnable bottle, you take it back to your retailer and you get your deposit back. And why we use different kinds of bottles, why do we have returnable and non-returnable? At the end of the day, it's consumer preference that dictates it. So lots of consumers, for argument's sake, if we didn't have returnable bottles, we need to manufacture as a country 3 million tons of glass, but we only manufacture 1 million tons of glass because more than 2 million is returnable bottles which goes back into the system to be refilled. A beer bottle, for example, can be filled on average approximately 22 times before it's damaged, and then it has to be scrapped, and that is scrapped. Those bottles that are damaged and scrapped or scuffed that can't go back into the system are recycled by the brand owners who are shareholders of the glass recycling company, goes back to the glass manufacturers, Consul and Nampak. It's recycled into new glass. And one important thing I didn't mention, it's very important, glass, if you use recycled glass to make new glass, it does not affect the quality of the new glass packaging. As I mentioned, it can be infinitely recycled, and all your glass packaging in South Africa has at least 40% recycled glass, which is significant in comparison to any other packaging type.
Definitely. I remember when I was a little bit younger, people would collect glass bottles and get like R2 back at the local shop. Is that still a thing?
That's a deposit, the returnable bottle, exactly. That's what it is, yes.
Okay, I get it completely. Any collaborations worth mentioning for the new year, 2018? What are you planning on doing? What is it that you want to strengthen within your business?
Well, in terms of our business, what we want to strengthen is carry on setting up more, especially historically disadvantaged South Africans, to set them up as proper businesses, to get more collectors, because we want to contribute to unemployment in South Africa, which we see as an imperative for industry to get involved in as well. And we also want the upper income groups to really, as we say, get off your glass and start recycling.
I love it. And then in terms of the government, does the government help in any way?
Well, the government has set legislation where they're calling for industry plans where there's certain requirements on the packaging industry, and more so us as product responsibility organizations. We are doing that. We will be submitting a plan to government, but our request to government is they need to make separation at source compulsory.
I completely agree. And lastly, where can people find out more about the company? How, if I'm a corporate now listening, I'm sure there's a lot who like to maybe join ventures, just help with awareness, with whatever it is, getting the policy in the doors of whoever needs to listen. How do we get a hold of the information? Where do we go?
Just before that, the hospitality industry really needs to come to the party. There's heaps of glass that's being used, and we battle, and also shopping malls, we battle to place glass banks. So work together with us. We place a bank there. There's no cost. We make sure it gets serviced. And the best is to visit our website, www.tgrc.co.za.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And that was the CEO of the glass company. I hope I'm saying your name right, Shabir Jetnam. Jetam. Sorry. Wow. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with things to remember.
Imagine that you have $1.25. In the United States, you can have 5 bags of deep cheese and a pretzel. In London, you can have an instant soup. In India, you can have 2 steamed rice cakes. In Ghana, you can have a small box of chicken and rice. While you're imagining the tasty smell of that chicken and rice, 1.3 billion people around the world only have $1.25 to survive per day. They don't have a choice, but you do.
Improving lives for farmers around the world depends not just on getting a better price for the harvest, it also depends on learning sustainable techniques for agriculture, which preserve the land for future generations. Modern agriculture has a huge impact on the environment. All those agrochemicals, all those petroleum-based inputs into the food system, they take a huge toll on the planet and on the land. Not to mention the health risks of handling these toxic herbicides and pesticides that are implicit in that high-tech version of agriculture. Fair trade is trying to move farmers to a more sustainable model of agriculture. We have very rigorous standards around the use of agrochemicals. The most toxic chemicals are simply not allowed in the fair trade world, and we audit against that every year.
Well, you are back on The Social Show with myself, Viwe Cholwana, and the time is 9:52, 8 minutes till 10, about when we're about to finish. But you know, I can't leave you without that little tip, that little thing that'll make your weekend a little bit greater. Something to think about, and I think it runs really well with the interview that we had now with the CEO of the glass company, who's so lovely and so kind. I will listen to the clip and then we'll talk afterwards.
From Rio's Earth Summit in 1992 to Rio Plus 20 and new hurdles on the path to fair and sustainable global development. Today, 1.5 billion more people are using and abusing the environment. Governments are reeling from the global economic crisis, and the gap between rich and poor is getting wider. If we continue our wasteful ways, by 2050, almost 4 billion people will live in areas experiencing severe water stress. The world, largely China and India, will need 80% more energy, most of it based on fossil fuels. Greenhouse gas emissions will remain stable in OECD countries and Russia, more than double in the rapidly growing BRICS, and rise in the rest of the world, increasing globally over 50%, pushing the Earth's temperatures up 3 to 6 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. Farming, sprawling cities, logging, and climate change could reduce biodiversity and mature forests by another 10%.
You're back on The Social Show, and of course I'm talking about the green economy on things to remember. What is it that you know about keeping it green? What do you know about reusing, reducing, and recycling? I know we've heard that slogan so many times, chanted all over the place, but actually when I speak to my peers who are highly knowledgeable lawyers, engineers, smart group of people, when we talk recycling, very few people know. When people talk about climate change, we all sounding like we're sucking stuff out of our thumbs. Then we have to go to good old Google to find out what is going on. But I really hope that this interview did inspire you to look at how you treat your waste. Separate if you can. It's so much easier. Go to your glass bank, get that extra R2. You never know. It might help you with some airtime or some data in times like January. I think I should look at all my... I have so many glasses in my room, in my house. I definitely am going to take Shabir's advice. And that concludes our show for the day. Are you green? That is the question I'm leaving with you. And how do you treat your glass? How do you treat your glass? Do you even treat your glass? Or are you just chucking everything everywhere? Anyway, we'll be back again, same time, same place, from Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 10 a.m. only on The Social Show. Of course, if you want new and fresh news, go to www.social-tv.co.za, and trust me, you will not be disappointed. Love and light, and have a beautiful weekend.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za. A